Brussels, Europe's in Brussels, and a lot of young people, general public, the whole lot, they weren't too sure where, information about Europe. So what they decided to do was to put centres in each of the around Ireland. So then, if people wanted to find information about Europe, we organise events and stuff like that, and we can inform people about Europe. So I'm only come into it since July, so there's been bits and pieces done beforehand. So now there's a real push now, especially with the elections coming up in May, of really getting people engaged in Europe, and especially young people. This is their main focus. They've just done a new kind of agenda. It's called the Euro 2020 agenda. Basically what they want is part of it, one of the main parts, to get young people working, to get young people engaged. They've changed new programs and stuff like that. Malcolm Zeta will probably tell you about the Erasmus Plus program. That's kind of the Europe Youth Guarantee system as well, that will be in there as well. So I'm just going to go through Europe and direct the services that we provide, how I see from the queries that I get into the centre, because we get lots and lots of queries about people wanting to come and study in Ireland, people trying to get visas, legal issues of moving abroad and stuff like that, like people serving divorce papers, everything. We get such different variation of queries into our centre. So I'm just going to give you a broad thing of pretty much what you did in the video last night, but just probably make it more kind of focused as well. So that's what I'll be doing here. So basically our centre here as you guys know, there's 10 centres around the country. There's actually, we say 9 technically, because there's 2 up in Donegal. There's one in Letterkenny and one in Greedores. There's a Welltop area as well. But the 2009, the Irish language came into force in Europe as well. So a lot of stuff that we have to do has to be Oswelga as well. We do that in the libraries as well. We have a lot of stuff with the Irish. So mainly we're frontline, we're at the grassroots. Anything that comes in from Europe, we're supported by the European Commission, and we're also supported by the local government management agency, and that's the libraries division that's in there as well. So if people want information on certain things and we can't find it, we direct them to them, or the European Commission will contact us. We work with a guy called Alex, and he will say, listen, this is really important with the EU at the moment. Can you organise events, seminars on it? Can you get young people into it? Can you get children and general public? And then that's our job. Through our library services, we'll go and we'll try and sort them out and inform the general public. So that's kind of what we do at the moment. Just to mention, in our centre as well, we have a lot of leaflets and information there as well. We have booklets if people are studying in Europe as well. We would have more in-depth knowledge. And we have access to a bookstore, so if people are looking so for your video, if there's certain information that you can't find, what I'll do is I'll give you a link to our bookstore, and then if there's more information there, that's Lisa looks after our bookstore, and she will get the information for you. It's all free, and she'll get it sent directly to your home or whatever, so you don't have to come in if you're not close. So basically, the European Union, the whole thing came about basically from the fallout of World War II, World War I, and the whole thing in Europe. There was a guy called Jean Monnet who was, he just wasn't happy. He tried to come up with ideas of how to basically get everybody working together. So his main concept was that what caused the war was on land, coal, steel. So these were the main things. So it was on fuel and energy. So what he did is he brought this idea that if everybody worked together and there was an economic element, that everybody had control over the different things that might bring people together, and then they wouldn't go to war because everybody had a part of it and they were all together. So he gave his idea to this guy called Robert Schuman. Robert Schuman thought this was a great idea, and he needed something to get Germany back also out of this thing because everything that happened in the war. So with the two of them, they gave a speech, and other countries came in together, and that's basically how the European Union was. An economic ideals, that's how it came up at first. It was economic ideals so that war wouldn't break out again. So the concept was to stop war and to bring peace, and that's how the European Union has grown. And another thing that came out from their talk and how Europe spread as well is food. After all the world wars, there was a scarcity in food in a lot of areas and people were starving. So they came up with, but there was a lot of land. So they came up with this common agricultural policy that they would bring into all the European countries and others that joined in. And basically they would give incentives, money for people to produce a certain amount of food so that the economies would grow and there would be enough food there for people. Actually that proved so successful that they actually ended up having to re-change parameters. And that's why you hear the farmers giving out that they can't do certain cows, quotas and stuff like that. but that's where it came out from. It was so people wouldn't starve. And now, basically, it's gotten to the stage now that we're changing the way that we produce our food. We're putting quotas so we don't basically deplete our resources in fish and the land and stuff like that. So in our Europe Direct Centre as well, we organise talks on the Common Agricultural Policy. We'll get people from the Department of Agriculture and they'll speak to anyone as well. And they basically get people to pre-state where your food is coming from. And that's something that, like, when you go to the supermarket, part of, you know, your food has been, there's EU regulations and legislation around how that apple or something got onto that shelf. So that's what we cover as well, and that's something that you might look at for your video. Citizenship has been for the last 2 years, but it's always been an element of the EU. Because it's moved more from economic to social to the people of Europe, citizenship has become very, very important. They brought out in 2012, which is a citizens' charter, that any one person can change a legislation or laws in the EU. If someone comes up with an idea, but to do that you have to get 7 other people who think the same way as you in 7 other countries, get everybody to come up with an idea, then you have to go around, get 1 million signatures. It seems like a lot, but when you think of the whole of the EU, and a lot of people like mine, and when you've got your 1 million signatures, you can put this out to the European Union, the European Commission, and say, this is something we want to bring in, we're unhappy with this law, or we want to bring in this regulation, and then they'll look at it. And from that idea that people have, you can actually change European law. And that's from everybody there. So I have some information about how that goes through. And that started in 2012, and the first people that decided to do it, their call has just gone in within about 3 weeks ago. So we'll see how, if they can change law, or if it's just an exercise. So as well as that, your rights as well, citizenship, they look at your rights as a citizen, and they make sure that there's a solidarity of rights through the whole of Europe, that everybody has the same rights. So that's one of the main things, and that's when you travel, move, everything like that you are covered as a European citizen. And if there is issues where you feel that things have been changed or something like that, you've got the European Court of Justice that you can bring anything there, the European Parliament as well, and this is since the Lisbon Treaty, the European Parliament has more say in our day-to-day running. So in June, May, when people vote for MEPs, any decisions that are made within the European Parliament, they affect the whole of Europe. So when if you're eligible to vote, you make sure that the person you vote for you think will bring. And they're not just voting for people in Ireland, they're voting for the whole of Europe. So you just have to find out when you go to vote, if someone comes to find out what party, there's 5 political parties in the EU, and they align themselves to the different parties. And then if you look at what parties they align themselves with, then you'll know what kind of policies they have, whether they're social, left wing, right wing, whatever like that. So you can check that out as well. And we have that information as well in the Direct Centre. You have to come along. Okay, so the areas the EU's affect our lives or your lives is the health. Health will come in actually with the new Erasmus Plus as well that Mog's actually talking about. They're looking, there's new funding and different things for sport. Sport will come under the health as well. And I have food there, I'll go into a bit more, but food means the labelling of food, where you from the food from the farm, how it's grown, what pesticides are used, what aren't used, the shape of your food, everything like that. So you're talking about everything, how it's packaged, different packaging, so food goes all the way up and how it's consumed. Medical can be medical expenses, what you're entitled to. There could be EU legislation for the whole of Europe of what you're entitled to medically. Some states have their own, but then the European Union brings in a certain level to make sure every citizen gets their own right. Environment goes from the climate to pollution, and I've put water there as well because there was just a new study done on Irish people from it's a Eurobarometer, and even though there's a lot of controversy here about the water and stuff like that, 69% of Irish people said they agree with water taxes coming in, and that they agree that there should be some kind of legislation on clean water and stuff like that. So even though there is problems there from the European studies, we're the only country really at the moment in the EU that doesn't pay for it. And in saying that, 85% of Irish people were the highest in the whole of Europe that use tap water. So it just goes to show, so if they bring in this cleaner water. Study will be, there's different types of funding, study in a way, which will affect you as well. There's different funding for going to travel abroad, the Erasmus Plus. There's also your student entitlements. There's certain amount of student entitlements, discounts on certain things. Some of them have come from the EU, like for travel, the student got discounted travel and stuff like that. That's actually EU legislation that brought that in, and then it's whatever way member states can bring it in as well. So when you get your cheaper travel bus and stuff like that, that's actually from the EU. Travel also for freedom, rights and supports. This is your mobility, how to move around. When they say mobility, they probably mean, is that me? Yes, sorry. Mobility would mean basically able to travel. The EU just brought in, the way we're all getting our new driver licence things. Partly why that brought that in is that it cuts all different type of legislation, and that in certain areas that driver's licence will be accepted. So that's why they brought that in. That was from the EU. That's why Ireland had to bring in the new licence and stuff like that. And that's to make travel easier as well. So there are all these little things that do affect our life. Shopping as well. Online shopping is one of the main things. If you buy things online, there's a European Consumer Network, and actually you've got a lot more rights now online than you actually do going into a store, the way they've changed it around. But there's also for businesses as well that you've got payback time. You can do stop payment going on your credit card when you've been put back on your credit card and stuff like that. So there's issues there as well. And then for businesses, everyday businesses, there's different with trading, cross-border, reduced in VAT and stuff like that as well. So that's there as well. And then there's online protection for businesses as well. Okay, so this is just in the health. These are a few areas. It's the RAPEX. And basically, that is for health, that if there's any defective problems, if you ever see some item has been recalled because it didn't meet certain standards or something like that, or there's ISO standards, they came in from Europe through the RAPEX system. And that basically means that anything, whether it's food, toys, cars, anything like that, there's certain guidelines, and if they think the products can be taken off onto a Europe-wide thing, and if an accident or something like that, they'll go to the European courts to get refunds back through that as well. And that's brought in, apparently last year there was 180 complaints. With the year before there was 500. They brought in new legislation. So anyone that's making or manufacturing in Europe have to go by these standards. And then if they don't go, RAPEX comes in and they can actually shut down businesses. So that's what there is there as well. The food safety as well. So there's a list of flavouring substances, what I've mentioned before. And then when you go to the shop and the food labelling and all that about what's healthy, what's not healthy, they're all through European directives. That's why they came in. I know half the time in Ireland they say we're bringing this in, but it's actually because Europe told them they had to bring it in. So that's where they come in as well. Yeah.
Is that, did you say that was the nutritional information, the
nutrition, yeah.
And that's something has a requirement.
The requirement, yeah.
Okay.
So it's there. I have the legislation number and the call number and stuff. I have all that that I'll get out as well.
Thanks.
But yeah, a lot of that coming through that. Different standards, yes.
Is the RAPEX the C and the E on electronic devices?
Yes,
and stuff?
a lot of that is there as well, yeah. But they have to get certain European standards as well that they have to go through. And it's even when they set up a business or anything like that, Europe goes in now, or people within Europe will go in and see how they're manufactured. And if they don't like the way they're manufacturing, they have to change the standards as well and stuff like that. And it means that if they want to apply for funding, if they're done right, they can get funding as well. So it's good for businesses to keep. So any businesses set up, they follow them as well now. So that's their business. And like I mentioned, from fork to farm, that legislates about the substances that are being used on your food and stuff, organic, non-organic, the way the pigs are being, actually Ireland at the moment are being brought up because we're not keeping our pigs the way we should be. When sows are pregnant, in Ireland they keep the sows separate from other sows, but the EU regulation came in about 2 years ago and Ireland still hasn't done it, that they're actually meant to kept together. It's meant to be better for the parents, for when the babies come out and stuff like that, and for when they feed. And it's meant to be better than pigs have a high level of disease in certain areas. And apparently when they're together like that with the mother suckling, apparently the disease level has shown to be reduced. So they're trying to bring that in, and Ireland are going to be brought to court if they don't get the farmers to do that. So there's something that affects the way your pigs the way your meat comes onto your table. So, you know, just little things like that in Ireland aren't up to grade not at the moment. And farmers are graded as well, so you know, when you see your food and everything like that in the shop, someone comes in from different countries, they're graded. So they go from A star down to D star. And thank you, Chef, D star, basically they're being told not to put them onto the shelves. So like that as well. So that's kind of it.
Is there a scale for county to Europe or something like that?
There is.
How there's like scale from, I think, there's E's the start of it and then there's E's the end of it as well.
Yeah, there is. There's different scales, yeah. So there is. So they have to reach certain standards, and the scales go by the way they're produced, the foods that got given, the kind of farm they're given, whether a small farm or a big farm, how many are kept, and that's how they do it on the scales. So you can go onto the Department of Agriculture and I'll be giving you all the websites and stuff like that as well. And then they have a place where they do the scales, and they're all there as well. So I'll be, when I say Department of Agriculture, I mean the European Department of Agriculture. So they have all the legislation that they give you that as well. So the Sheraton agreement, this is for travel. This is basically free travel. So if you arrive in Brussels or anywhere in Europe, you can just go travel. You don't need to show your ID. You don't need to do anything because you're a European citizen. Ireland and England aren't part of this agreement, partly because Ireland and England said they're an island. So people come in, that's what they say, they're coming into different world, where in Europe their trains can go everywhere and anywhere. Partly it's to do with they want a certain level of control and regulation. Ireland would have gone into it, but we stick with Britain on a lot of stuff. So that's why we're there, and the fact that Northern Ireland is part of Ireland as well. But we do leave it to a certain extent. In saying that now, you still need to bring your new driver's license with you in case you're stopped or anything like that. But it means if you go to an airport or anything in those countries, you just walk right through. Because if it says Sheraton European citizen, walk right through. You don't have to go through any borders or anything like that. So that's why that's there, so it's very easy. The roaming charges as well, for your mobile phones. I have the tariffs. I couldn't print them off this morning. But basically, since 2012, they brought in the roaming charges. They changed them in 2012, they came down again in 2013, and they're coming down in 2014. And what they've done is they set maximum price. So I think the maximum price is going to be about 20 cents that you can be charged when you're away for certain things, and 5 cents for certain. So it's to do with data, calls, receiving calls, not receiving calls. Before that, it was €1 to 150 to €2. Do you know, it was absolutely ridiculous. And then they brought it in that they've asked the mobile phone companies to bring in competition, so to reduce it. So basically, when you're abroad in Europe or anything like that, it'll basically be the same as calling home. It won't make your bill any higher and stuff like that. And they have to tell you, as part of the EU legislation, that when you arrive into the country, you will get a text message telling you this is the costs. If you don't get that text message and you go home and you get billed, you can actually say that was against your consumer and European rights because you weren't informed of how much the costs were, and you have legal recourse to do that. So they have to send you that text message and they have to let you know how much. So that's something to know as well, because there was a case there and the person won it because that was part of EU regulation and EU law. Okay? Package holidays as well. Not a lot of people know this, but when you book your package holiday, they are covered by EU law as well. There's a directive for that. And if anything goes wrong, you're actually entitled to a refund. Also, if you're going travelling, if your plane is delayed by 6 hours, you're entitled from 50, 150 to €600 in compensation for depending how long you're delayed, or if you've had to cancel your flights because you've missed, say you're going over for a concert and you've missed a concert and there's no point in travelling. They need to put you up for accommodation. They need to give you food as well for over certain times. Now, when we had the whole ICE thing, there was a lot of cases that the companies didn't do it because people didn't know about their rights, and it was only when people went back to apply for it, and they only gave it to the people that put in for the compensation. They didn't give it to anybody else who didn't leave it. You're entitled to get paid for different ways of travel. They have to cover everything if it's delayed longer. Some of it, obviously, if it's natural, there is a certain level that the airline companies, this is the same with rail. If your train is delayed by an hour, if you ever hear that they put buses on, private buses and stuff like that, that's actually in EU law. They have to do that. It's not the goodness of the rail company or whatever, it's because of an EU law. So when they do that, if it's delayed an hour, they have to do that, okay? So that's something that you need to be aware of as well. No matter where you are, you're entitled to that, okay? And you're bringing them in now. For the boats weren't covered, they're coming in this year, the sea cover will be covered as well. They get compensation as well. I have more information, like in-depth information that I'll give you. Obviously it's not for here, if that's the area you want to look at as well. The European Health Card as well, EU111 form. That as well is that if you get sick in another room, you're entitled to a certain standard of health care that you would be as a citizen of that country, because technically you are a citizen because you're all European citizens. There is an app as well that we can give you. If something if you want to put in your video if you're sick, there's an app and it gives you all the phone numbers, all the help things, and puts you free directly to any of them. And basically that means in any country, and you can change it, and that shows you what you're entitled to in that country as well, where the services are and stuff like that. And that just came out last year, so that's there as well. And as I mentioned, the driving license. Okay. For work, as well as travel work, you're entitled to whatever work agreements that you have in Ireland or in another EU country. If they have certain work entitlements, if you work there as that European citizen, you're entitled to any what the other European citizens get in their country. So if they're entitled to minimum wage, if they're entitled to so many work hours and stuff like that, but a certain amount of it also comes from Europe, and that's why the doctors recently, they went to the European High Court because they weren't getting the younger doctors, because Ireland was in breach of their rights for certain working hours and stuff like that. So they were able to go to the European Court for that. So there's areas there where it affect your life as well. Also for women, when we went into the EU, there was no equality. There wasn't women had to give up their job if they got married and stuff like that. So there were all these different things. But EU legislation says that brought in women's rights, which Ireland had to adopt as part of the European legislation. That's where equality comes in on all work standards. So we have the employment law and stuff like that. Technically, we don't really need that anymore because it's done at the European level and we have to accept it. Okay, so that's why there's not a lot of cases gone here to the employment law course, because it's all come from being directive and that affects your life. And also, if you study in college here, your college courses here, they all have to be EU recognised. And if you go for your course or anything like that, you make sure that your college is part of the kind of network. And there's different groups and different organisations, which are URAs, URATs, that will help you with all that, and we'll give you that information there as well. We have some leaflets. So these are just some interesting EU laws that Lisa found out. Got the silliness of EU as well, because some of it's ridiculous. So yeah, here we go, sorry. So EU law states that children under 8 cannot blow up balloons. Whoops, what's that happening?
So mine's probably timed.
In the EU without adult supervision. Okay, so that's one of them. So I have balloons for everyone here because you're old enough to blow them up by yourself. EU law states it's illegal to eat your pet horse. Okay. Partly why the pet horse thing as well, sorry, just to bring back to food as well, you know, the horse meat that was found in the food and stuff, there was EU regulation on the meat and what way the meat is cooked and stuff like that. In France and stuff you can, and there's certain levels of horse meat that's not allowed to go in, but that's why it was such a big thing as well, not just that it was obviously horse meat in our food, but also because it broke EU regulation and laws and the policies and the way the companies work their way. So that's why it was such a massive thing all over Europe, and obviously it went to the world as well because it was in New Zealand as well. So another one is the Commission regulates on the 15th of June 1960. Well, that you can't sell strange shaped fruit or vegetables. Okay, so basically before, you know, organic food and stuff like that, if it came out a bit funny, you weren't allowed to sell it because it wasn't right. But the organic farming and stuff like that and everything else, they've changed that. But that was there for a good while, and a lot of people had to throw away vegetables and stuff that they made or grew because they weren't the right shape. So they had to change the way that they practiced their farming. There was a ban on ugly vegetables as well. Oops. And fruits, this was overturned recently as well. But bananas remain subject to rules, which stipulate, among other things, that it must be at least 14 centimetres long, 27 millimetres thick in the middle. So when you go in and buy your banana,
Measure.
that's why. There is a certain amount that some of the smaller ones are allowed, because I read something with children's health and stuff like that. But generally, that's the rules for bananas. So,
All our bananas are measured.
yeah.
Oh my
Yeah.
God.
And if they're not, then that's the problem as well. There's a wastage of food, because if they don't meet the grade, they can be destroyed as well. So, you know, it's good things and bad things. And there is an EU directive as well stating that every pair of rubber boots, must be supplied with a user's manual in 12 languages. It does not have to be in Irish, because
Yes.
that was done before. Yes, exactly. But there you go. Another one as well is, according to EU legislation, eggs can't be sold by the dozen. You know the way you'd say the baker's dozen, whatever it used to be? Eggs join other products such as oranges and bread rolls and will be sold by weight instead of the number contained into a packet. So that's how it's be done.
Where's that couple in?
That's been in for a long while.
I
In
don't think
saying
it-
that now,
I don't think it's
I'm
a
from
farce.
Washford, and we have a small wee shop and we sell them by the dozen when people
Yeah.
come in and they ask for a dozen eggs. But technically we're breaking EU law. So there you go. So, and that's why when the boxes are done in 6, not in 12, they can be broken. You know, that they're not together, because they're not allowed to sell them in the dozen. And that's why the oranges, there's always an extra one. There's 13 oranges in a basket of oranges. We get them. I counted them the other day just to check it out. It's true. And then this as well, you know, when you're online, and now especially it can be very annoying, you get this thing saying this site is done by cookies. Yeah, that is an EU legislation. And it says here that we've updated our private policy, not that you care. You can read it or click to get rid of this annoying box and carry on before. And that's to do with the cookies, basically saying that the site is cookies. So it's just their way of doing it. But yeah, so that is there as well. It's privacy. So I was just going to just tell you a few things that we did at the Europe Direct Centre, you know what I mean, and something that could be part, I don't know. We did an employment fair where people come in and look for employment. The Flavours of Fingal. We worked with Safer Blanchetown. When I say Safer Blanchetown, their sort of E comes in as well. Last year there was a Eurobarometer just done on drug use in youths for the whole of Europe. Ireland between 15 and 21 have the highest drug use amongst the whole of the EU countries. It's up at 64%, and all the next highest was 49%. So Ireland is really, really high, massive drug use within youth. Might be just trying it out once, but it's still the highest in Europe. And part of that, with that as well, came in the EU regulation on substance, where basically, you know, the head shops and stuff like that they can be closed down like that. That's part of EU regulation as well. They brought that in, that if people aren't sure what's in a product, substance, that we can close it down straight away. They can be tested, and then after that they can be brought in. But while that testing has been done, it can be banned and stopped, and they brought that in as well. And they think that part of our high thing was with the head shops and stuff, maybe around the time when they were around, that's when the Eurobarometer was done. But not very good for one of the smallest countries in the EU to have the highest drug use as well. So just something there as well. And we work with Safer Blanchetown as well, we work with the Drug Task Force and stuff like that, and on the EU legislations there. I just think that we did European Euro Citizen. We got people to think what citizenship means, and maybe like for your video, what being a part of European means to you, what means a European citizen, so it's something to think about as well. And then we've done the class, Search the EU class, where to find the information, know your rights. A soapbox as well. Soapbox, and maybe some of you guys might want to enter the soapbox next year. They're done all over Ireland, and basically a topic will come up and you have to debate it, and it's on the EU, and your thoughts can be positive and negative. One thing just that from the soapbox mock that was the judge of this year, and there was a girl from Northern Ireland from Strabane, and she said she's always in conflict. She's a 16-year-old girl. Am I Irish? Am I Northern Ireland? What am I? And she said onto Europe, she thought about Europe, she goes, now I can say I'm not Irish, I'm not Northern, I'm European, and that covers everything, and it stops everything. And she said it's nice to be part, to know that you're part of something that nobody's going to argue with you with. So, you know, it's just something to think about as well. Then they're just some of the things. We had Emer Costello, an MEP, So this year the MEPs within Blanchetown area that I work with, we have Emer Costello, Paul Murphy and Gay Mitchell will be in our area, but there's a lot of them around here. Just because they're based in our area, they're not for our area. Just Emer Costello is a very strong advocate of youth guarantee. Paul Murphy would be a very strong advocate of getting the EU in the world, of helping out in like bringing foreign funding to different countries in Africa, bringing gender equality and stuff like that, and getting the EU involved in that. He's a socialist and he's very, very strong advocate in that as well. He's helped out in a few cases there. Gay Mitchell, I don't know what his policies are, he changes every week. I'm not going to get into that. Another thing as well as what we do is in Ireland, I don't know, especially where we are in Blanchetown, we have the highest diverse cultural area. We have the highest in Ireland. We have people from all over the world, not just Europe, all over the world, but people are looking for European citizenship. One of their main problems for work, for everything, is that they don't speak English when they come here. So what we do in our direct centre is we run integration classes. Basically, we have an English language teacher, that's Michelle there in the middle, who's fantastic. She does English language, and then we will do certain European rights and help with visas and stuff like that as well, to give them the information. So that's something as well, and we also do it with their children. We do classes with that, and we show them different cultures, different stories of Europe. There's so many different European stories, and like we have our own as well. Like I sent something there, it's gone into about the Tawn and stuff like that, about Cullen, the whole lot. And like we got emails, oh, what's this hurl and stuff like that. So you share your cultures as well, and I think that's one good thing about being a European citizen, is you learn from all the other countries as well. You learn and you share your cultures, and there's so much that we have in common, and there's so much that's different. And I was actually from Poland, so there's probably the same, different stories that you might tell your son. So there's different stories there. So that's one of the classes we did, and we got our certs and we finished, and it was great. It was great fun. This is one of our soapbox things for this year. This is Dara, he was our winner. This is the MEP Paul Costello, and then we had some of the older groups. We have two categories, and then they go head to head. So I have to say this year I thought the younger categories were much better than the older ones. So then we do biodiversity, and that's a very, very important thing in Europe as well. It's how we look after our habitat, our livestock, our bees. They're bringing in the EU legislation to look after bees, honey, everything like that. So there are all these different things that are there and how they're done. And these are two college students that were fantastic. They did it with the groups, of course. And this is one of the little guys that he designed a postcard, which will give you of what he felt was a European citizen. And he said when he came here, he wasn't an Irish citizen, he wasn't a European citizen. He became a European citizen, and he said he felt it embraced him and brought him together. And this is the EU to him. And then that's just the plans that we have for next year. And that's it, and our contact details. So that's an overview, sorry. It's a lot of work. If you want to ask something, that's what we're here for. Yeah? So, does anyone have any questions now, or you're at the moment? So there is we have a lot of booklets and stuff there that you can have a look at and check as well. And something I didn't mention is space. Europe are part of space as well. Like they've got EU policies for going up to space, and the European Space Aid. Ireland is one of the, we've got a lot more scientists working in it than any other European country as well. So there. And one thing I do have to say is research is very, very important. Any research studies that come out from the EU, and any of the funding that they give for researchers, anything that comes out of that, how mothers feed their babies, all stuff like that. A lot of that has come from the EU, and that has changed the way that we do things here. So like any research, and we can give you a list of all the different research policies that are going on. And there's a lot of Irish researchers that are making strides, even different drugs and stuff like that. So it's very, very important to kind of have an idea. Well, for us to have an idea, and it's for us to tell you how it works. Okay.
Susan, can I ask you about the youth guarantee?
Yeah.
It's something we hear a lot about but don't really understand, and I think it could be quite valuable to the group to
Yeah,
learn
a lot
about.
of people are like that as well. What is this youth guarantee? Basically, it's people that have been maybe unemployed for about 3 months, 3 to 4 months, what it does is it guarantees to get you a work placement or onto a training course. In the 90s, Ireland had a lot of training courses, vocational education training courses and stuff like that. I don't know whether with the boom and stuff like that, they reduced and more people went into college. When they went to college, they got more academic rather than hands-on training and stuff like that. And that's where the work skills have gone. So what they're trying to do is get people into training, into work environment. They'll get the academic bit as well, but just to see. And then some people go in, you're in there for 4 months, 5 months, could be 9 months. It depends on what way you've got into that thing. They'll give you the training. And then also what it will do is it will do the college background as well. So it's similar to vocational education training as well. And when it's a you guarantee, it guarantees that it will get you into a work environment, into a working thing, mind and stuff like that. And in some places it might guarantee a job, or it might guarantee to move home, to somewhere else. Or it might even also guarantee that maybe you decide this is the area that you want to go into and then you don't want it, like catering or stuff like that. So we're working with catering, and one of the people we got them work placement, technically kind of to the youth guarantee, and then it's not for her. Do you know what I mean? So, but then she can go back,
And that's an entitlement that a specific age bracket has at the
Up
moment?
to 30.
Up to 30.
Yeah, they're saying 25. They've changed the Erasmus Plus age, haven't they? Not that up to 30, isn't it?
It was a,
Yeah, it used to be.
yeah, the youth and entrepreneurs.
Yeah, so it's 30.
Is that what JobBridge is in Ireland then, the JobBridge
It's
scheme?
similar to JobsBridge, but it's for JobsBridge is more for people that have graduated and stuff like that. But this is, you don't have to have any qualification, this is to help you get a qualification. It's basically like a traineeship
Right,
as such.
thanks.
So but they haven't fully teased out exactly what way it's going to work. But
So
even,
it's up for discussion and debate at the moment?
yeah, it's meant to be coming in though. I think Fingal have brought it into some of the areas of Balbriggan and stuff like that. But they're bringing it in that it can be amended as well. But like I said, Emer Costello, that's her main drive, and she's big into it. And that's from her previous job as she used to be the mayor of Dublin City and stuff like that, and she used to work in FOSS and engagements and stuff like that, so that would be her background, the youth worker.
Thanks.
And that's that. So, but I have a brief on the accounts and stuff like that, but I can send it to you if you want.
Great.
Okay, anything else? No? Okay. There's a lot there, your covers everything, I haven't even done half it, but it does, it covers everything, like, yeah, it's just crazy. So anyway, if you want me to ask me anything else, okay? I'm here. 1 second.
Yeah. There's lots of funding opportunities for young people, youth workers, youth organizations, if you want to like organize a youth exchange, for example, or become a volunteer. But I'm going to talk about it a bit later. So I'm glad somebody heard about Largos, and did somebody hear about Eurodesk? Yeah? Have you not? Don't be shy. Speak a bit louder, because sorry? European Bank. Oh, I would love that.
Euro.
No. But it has some connections to Europe, I would say. You should have a competition on who has the right answer. Can we pen? You got the pen because you knew what Largos is about? No. So what could Eurodesk be? Just be creative. Actually, in my old office, somebody stuck a euro coin on the desk, so it was Eurodesk. But that's how Eurodesk was actually created in 1990, I think. I have to check that actually, the date, yeah. And it was created in Scotland. There were some youth workers who wanted to have direct access to information about European funding from Brussels. And 1990, were any of you born then? No? Okay. So you don't remember, but there was no really internet. Can you imagine that? Or there was some internet, but people wouldn't have access to that. I think I went to my first training on internet in 1995, and I thought, oh, that could be good because you can download some books from libraries.
No internet when I was in college.
Yeah. Okay, so in those times, people would receive everything they post. Yeah. So if they wanted some information about European grants, they had to send a letter, first to London, to the British Council, and then they would send the letter to Brussels, and then the other way back and so on. So it would take a very long time. So they decided to have their own European access to information, and they set up a desk, and they call this Eurodesk. So that's how Eurodesk was created, but that was a long time ago. So now we're going to see what's happening now. Eurodesk. What is Eurodesk? Okay. Before I come to this mobility issue, just to explain to you, Eurodesk provides free information for young people and those who work with young people or have something to do with young people. So it could be youth workers, teachers, parents, it could be librarians as well, of course. Whoever has to do with young people and can provide information to them. So we provide information to them about what young people can do in Europe in terms of mobility, in terms of youth policies, in terms of youth events and so on. But the main aim is to provide information on mobility. There's also a European network of Eurodesk offices, and I run the Irish Eurodesk office, and because Ireland is quite small, it's just myself, so it's one person who runs this office. In other countries there will be more people, and Eurodesk is present in 33 European countries, and is funded by the European Commission and the national authorities. So in Ireland it's the Department of Children and Youth Affairs, who will be funding us. It used to be Education and Skills, and then Education and Science, so I always have to make sure that I remember which one is at the moment. Yeah. And from the European Commission is the DG Education and Culture, who found us together. Okay. Now, what is mobility? There are some basic definition here, and I think normally people would understand mobility as mobility for people with disabilities. Is that right in English, or what would you understand as mobility? Sorry? Yeah, exactly. But we talk firstly about physical mobility, where young people can go to another European country to study. And I'm not saying to go to Europe, because we are in Europe here as well. And often people in Ireland seem to forget that, because they always say, like, what about Europe? What is Europe? We're going to Europe, but Europe is here. So there may be other young people coming to Ireland, which for them means coming to Europe as well, to another European country. And what can they do? They can study, they can do an internship, they can work, volunteer, they can go for training. There's also virtual mobility. Now with the internet, of course, we can do lots of stuff and learn lots of stuff online. So we also have websites, we have a portal where you can find out lots of information about Europe and what you can do in Europe online. You can also have projects that are run online as well. For example, there's e-twinning, which is a program between schools, and Largas also runs e-twinning. I don't know if you heard about e-twinning. That's where pupils from different schools can communicate online and set up even projects online. Yeah? If you have any questions, just tell me, okay? Otherwise you can ask them later as well. What are the benefits of mobility? So that's what I found out. Maybe you know a little bit more, but we think that if you are able to move to another place to learn or to look for a job, you can receive more training, you can have more experience, you can improve your skills, and you can increase your chances to be employed. Because nowadays many employers will look into your CV and check if you spent a period abroad, for example, in training, or you studied abroad, because that's always a big benefit to your skills, of course, to your confidence and so on. If you go to another country and keep your eyes open, you can also understand another culture, you can learn about different cultures, the way people think in other countries, the way people even say hello to each other, and why that's the way they say hello. Like when I came to Ireland and everyone was saying, how are you doing, and so on, I thought they were my friends, yeah. Because in Poland or in Germany, where I lived before I moved to Ireland, people only ask those questions if they really want to know what's the story, yeah? And then I started always telling everyone here, yeah, I actually had a headache last night and I couldn't sleep, and I looked at them like, what's wrong with you? And I thought, what's wrong with them? They asked me how I was doing, yeah? That's just a little example, yeah? If you go abroad and if people don't smile at you like strangers, yeah, it doesn't mean they're not friendly. It means just in their culture, It's not very polite maybe to smile at strangers because people would think you want something from them or you're crazy. Yeah. So that's just those little things you can learn if you stay for a while abroad. But not just in a holiday resort. If you just go and talk to people, if you observe, if you maybe try to read the newspapers or watch TV, or go for youth exchange and just meet other young people, and then you can see what the difference is. I actually worked as an interpreter and leader in youth exchanges, in international youth exchanges when I was living in Germany. So I saw so many of those situations, and they may be funny, but sometimes they may be also a little bit, stressful. If you don't know, for example, that if you go to Germany, for example, and somebody invites you to have some food in their house, and you say, no, thank you, so they won't give you any food here. But in other countries, they will ask you 3 times, and it's only the 3rd time that we're allowed to say, yes, I would like to maybe have a cup of tea or something, and then you will get something. So it's always good to know those little things. And I just lived in different countries and know all these stories, and I know that if young people have the courage to go to another country for a longer stay than just a holiday stay, they really can learn so much about themselves and about other cultures. And of course we hope that, as Susan was saying, that the European citizenship would be something that you can be in touch with if you go to another country, because then you will realize the similarities but also the differences, but also the benefits of being a European citizen, like for example with traveling and with the borders. Yeah. Now, what kind of mobility opportunities there are in Europe, where Europe provides lots of information? So we mentioned training already, and that's training at different levels. I provide lots of information about non-formal learning as well, because Eurodesk is really connected very closely to the youth program, which is for non-formal education. So that will be for organizations like Foroige, where you go to different places after school and then can do different activities. So we provide this information about learning abroad, and for young people coming to Ireland, about learning in Ireland as well, about training, internships, work placements, volunteering, summer jobs, permanent jobs, au pair, living in another country, or just simply traveling. We have lots of links, for example, about traveling cheaply in Europe, about the European Youth Card, about the Interrail tickets, which are not that cheap, but you can combine them with other opportunities, like with cheap hostels and so on. Also, if students want to come to Ireland, or young people want to come to Ireland, just to go to an Irish school and to live with the host family, we should also be able to help them. So now coming back to Eurodesk, as I said before, Eurodesk provides free information services for young people and those who work with them, and we have a network of information points. And in Ireland, it's youth information centers where we train in this information. We also cooperate with Spoon Out. Or probably have heard about Spoon Out, and now we started to cooperate with Europe Direct, and Susan was the first one who we started to cooperate with. So Europe Direct is also one of our releases. This is the brochures from last year, so you won't be there yet, but next time. And I mentioned before to Francis that Foroige used to run 4 youth information centers, so we also provided information to those youth information centers, but I'm sure there will be opportunities to continue to provide this information even without youth information centers. So in this brochure, in this leaflet, you can just see what Eurodesk Ireland is about, and there are some examples of questions that you can ask Eurodesk. And when I say Eurodesk, it's not only me, but it's also youth information centers, Europe Direct, Spoon Out, and so on. Although Spoon Out doesn't provide really inquiry answering services, but you can find lots of information on the website. And there's a little map as well with the places. I don't actually know from which places you come. Are you all coming from one place? Or?
No.
No? So could you just tell me the...
Kerry.
Kerry.
Watford.
We have a very good youth information center in Waterford.
Yeah.
You know where?
Yeah, I've seen
Edmund
it.
Rice.
Yeah, I walked past it every day.
Yeah, no, they have plenty of information and leaflets, and they can always direct you to. And where you come from, Dublin now? Kerry. We used to have one there. That was the one right by Foroige. There's one in Clondalkin now, and one in Dunleary, and one in Bray in Dublin. So that's the ones that we have left now. Yeah.
Cork.
Cork, we have a good one in Cork, in YMCA. Wicklow, or Bray, I would say, yeah. Galway. We used to have a good one in Galway, but they closed last year. You probably know it. They were with the, what's that address? It's probably here still, isn't it? Yeah. Ozanam House. Do you know what it is? But they closed, unfortunately. Yeah. That's really shiny. Cork, yeah. Cargo. Could I send you to? Probably Bray would be the closest. I don't know.
Kilkenny.
A Waterford, yeah. Yeah. And the ladies here. You know. Yeah, okay.
Galway.
Galway, yeah. Well, we have one in Ballinasloe still. They provide information as well, but they're not that close really to Galway, are they? You're closer to Roscommon probably because we're from Roscommon, is that right? Geographically. Yeah, yeah. Then you can always contact me, of course. Yeah. No, we have two websites. So one website is our national website, which gives you just the first insight into information we provide. And I actually got more pens. No worries. Sorry. And those pens have our website address on them, so you can always put out them. I've got some more, so if you don't have enough, you can give them to your friends. Yeah. Okay, I'm just going to try to connect to this page here. We'll see how it works. Oh yeah, it's working brilliant. So this is our website. We revamped this website last year. It was designed by two young people, one who was on JobReach and one young Polish person who designed just the background. So we have here information for young people from Ireland who would like to go abroad and young people who would like to come to Ireland. So because you are living in Ireland, maybe you could just have a quick look at just this section. So we have information on working abroad, working in European countries. So finding a job, what we're entitled to if you go away, cost of living, summer jobs, permanent jobs, internships and so on. Then we have information on volunteering, especially about European Voluntary Service, but also other possibilities like working in return for board. For example, as a woofer. I don't know if you heard about woofing? No? This is something that I did a little bit and I would love to continue because there's no age limitation anyway and even families can do that. So you go abroad on an organic farm and you work like 5-6 hours a day, 5 days a week normally, and in exchange you receive free accommodation on board, you learn new skills, you learn new people and so on, because often there will be other volunteers, and you can stay between like 1 week and a few months, and you can do different kind of work. You can even, you know, like cooking, to look after children, or work on the field, or look after animals. So it's a very good idea, and it's quite popular as well. So just an example. Now we have information on studying and training, and we have lots of information around that because that's a very popular query from young people in Ireland who would like to go to study abroad. So we have some information on courses through English abroad, grants and scholarships, and different education systems explained, especially in the UK, France and Germany, because those three countries are the most popular among Irish young people. Then we have some information about how to learn different language, because it seems that young Irish people don't speak that many languages because they don't learn early enough, but there's lots of opportunities where you could learn even online. And there's the information also on European programs. How if you would like to study abroad or do vocational training and so on. We're going to update this actually because now the new program will bring some changes, at least formal changes, if not content changes. Okay, and then we have the information about Ireland, which you can also find useful, about also working on your rights in Ireland, for example, when you finish your school, so about having fun, so that's different things you can do in Ireland, cinema, theatre, music, festivals, museum, pubs. Well, it's very important to explain how pubs work, because young people from other countries may not know that pubs may be closed one day per year and stuff like that, yeah. Outdoor activities, mountain biking, youth organizations as well, yeah. Foroige Youth. Youth cafes, scouting and so on, discounts, that's very good as well, student travel card, European scouts. Okay, so that's all. If you have time later, you can just have a look at this. I'm just going to go back to my presentation here. So if you followed me a little bit now, you can see that we really specialize in information for young people. So sometimes we may be overlapping with other European information networks, like with Eurodirect, because we also should know where to find information, for example, for European consumers, yeah, if you have any complaint and so on. But we really specialize in information for young people, so it will be all young people can do, and the age bracket is usually 13 to 30. But of course, if you have questions from parents, if they come to Ireland and they don't know how to register their child for primary school, we will also help. And if it's not really in our remit, we'll just forward the query to another institution, or we will tell people where to go. For example, if a teacher is coming to Ireland and he would like to see how to recognize his qualifications, then we will forward them to the right institution where he can find out about it. Now, we also run a big youth portal, so I'm trying now to connect to this portal. Okay, so youthportal.ie, it's an Irish shortcut to the portal. The official website address is a bit longer. And I've got those postcards that don't have the right logo anymore, because we produced them 10 years ago, in 2004, when the first version of the portal was launched. But the link is still correct, and I'm just going to give them to you now, so you can just remember the link to the website, okay? We have some like this, and some like this. Change your life to the open portal and to your desk. This actually comes from the Berlin Wall, you know? So, just leave you some more.
No bars.
You can use them and you can send them to friends and so on, yeah? And tell them to have a look at the youth portal. No, the youth portal. I didn't know this makes sense. That's great. Okay, so the youth portal. Oops. The youth portal has pages in all the official European languages. I'm not sure if you know how many European languages there are officially.
23.
I'm not sure myself actually.
it's 34.
Isn't that 24?
24 official, and then they're trying to bring up a bit more.
Well, we count them all here. Plus, there is also yeah, English is also there. 27. I count, no? So it's more actually, yeah. Okay, which one do we choose? Do you want the Maltese or
That's very good.
Irish? Okay.
Yeah.
Where is going? There's someone here. Yeah. No, I won't understand it myself. No, but just to show to you that the titles were translated into Irish, but because we had a choice of using either English or Irish, for practical reasons we decided to use English. Because some people maybe would struggle with that, and I wouldn't be able to write in Irish either. So anyway, the translation exists, and some of you who may be fluent Irish speakers, no? I use it. I'm sure there are some, yeah. Okay, shall we go back to English now? How is English in... No, it's oh yes, how is English here? Okay, so this is the home page, and I'm just going to go quickly through this home page, just to show you what's available. Because when you open this, you can see just this little tree. This is apparently the tree. And it has 8 parts that follow the European strategy for youth. So you have social inclusion, voluntary activities, education, creativity, employment, youth at the world, participation, health and well-being. And before I go through to this, just to show you that there is more on this page. The page is very long. It's going to be revamped soon as well, so it will be a little bit clearer. But you also have interesting European news, for example, about Youth Guarantee, so you can learn more from there. And then about different competitions, interesting events, for example, European elections, so you can learn about European elections here. Let's open this one just to see what's there. Okay.
The 23rd of May is the date that's been
Yeah.
set for the election.
Well, they say here it's for the election period from 22nd to the
Each
25th.
country has
For
a
different
choice.
countries,
Each
yeah, so,
country has a choice.
yeah, so you can see here. I didn't see
We hadn't decided yet because
Oh,
we're
right.
having our local elections at the same
Oh,
time.
very
so
good.
we might
So if you have a question, then ask Susan because she knows very well about elections.
Yeah,
Yeah.
leave me.
Very good. Then about the new program Erasmus Plus, that is now run by Largas and the HEA. So we have two national agencies, but I will explain that a little bit further. So you can find lots of information here about European issues, and the nice thing is that you have short articles with some links, so it's like a good introduction, and they should be normally written in a youth-friendly way as well, so all young people can understand them. But I think it's also good for youth workers and everyone else. Yeah. Then, if you go to this section here, which is not very visible, but if you click on that, you will have a list of different countries. So you can go to articles from different countries, and the main group for each country would be people coming to that country. So the articles will be about the country. For example, the Irish section, which I'm responsible for, if we go to, let's say, this section here, participation, we have interesting articles, for example, about Vote at 16 campaign, about young people who are active somewhere. For example, here is an article, anti-movie about the young girl, Rachel Creevy from the Irish Wheelchair Association. She sent me this article because I asked them actually if they're young people, they have a youth media group, if they could send me articles about what they did, what kind of experiences they have, if they could share their stories. So I am able to publish those articles directly on the portal, and if you have any articles about your activities in your organization or in your life, if you did something interesting you would like to share with a Europe-wide audience from young people from across Europe, then I would be very happy to publish them there. We just do a little bit of editing, but it's only, about the language and so on. But otherwise you can publish your articles, your photographs, your videos. So for example, if you have a video at the end of this project, I would be very happy to publish this on the portal, and then thousands of young people from across Europe can watch your video and you will be famous.
Okay.
At last.
Yeah. Yeah, we have very nice articles about social inclusion as well. For example, your rights, if you have disability, for example, if you come from another country, the services that are available to you. And again, we have a nice article from somebody from the Irish Wheelchair Association who tells about your right of having a personal assistant if you are a wheelchair user. And we have other articles here written again by young people. So if any of you would like to write something, that would be the way, to have this published very easily and for free. For example, we have here something about a young girl who describes her experience of being a person with disabilities and having problems to find a date, and feeling lonely on Valentine's Day. So it gives you an insight, and you can understand maybe a bit more about different aspects of life as a young person with disability. There are also articles about volunteering, so I'm just going to go back to the European content because I know that they have very good articles here. Volunteering opportunities. So you can volunteer online. As I mentioned before, there is also virtual mobility. So this is one possibility. You can go to WorkCom. You can do volunteering across the world, not just in Europe. For example, with United Nations. There's plenty of information there, and the good thing about it, as I said, is that it also explains to you first what this is about. So you don't have to go to Google and then find millions of pages and don't know which one is good. You can start here, because this is all written either by young people or youth workers or people who are experts in youth information somewhere else. And then there's a nice explanation about how you can apply, what are the conditions, and then you have links here inside as well, where you can go directly to the registration form.
Just
So,
as well, like if anyone is thinking of doing volunteering and stuff like that, we can get you, or we can arrange for you to talk to somebody that's done it abroad and how they've got on as well, and they can kind of give you an insight as well. So just if you're worried, or a lot of times it's the parents that are more worried about the kids going away and stuff like that, and then the parents can meet people as well. And just because we're your desk now in Blanchetown, we've arranged with some of the youth groups in the area that have done it, and they've
Yeah.
agreed to chat and stuff,
Mhm.
and they'll do it online as well, or their parents might even speak to your other parents. But it's like I went to school when I was like 16 in France for summer, or for doing the module and stuff like that, so it's great. It's great fun.
Mhm. Yeah.
And they're much more liberal in France than they are in Ireland, so I know nuns aren't great.
Yeah. So anyway, the address is here, youthportal.ie, and you have it on the postcards. It's a very easy address, I think, and you can find plenty of interesting articles there. And as I said, it's a portal where young people can write the contents as well. That's even very welcome. So if you would like also to post a short information piece about any events that Foroige runs, for example, especially if you are looking for more participants, for example, or if you want just simply promote them, just send me a short text and I will put it there the next day. Now, just to summarize what Eurodesk is about, I have this short movie here. I hope it will work, and the sound system should be working. That's special. But that's not all. I have some more for you. Yeah, no, you saw at the end of this movie there were old logos actually from the old program. And now the Youth in Action program, which we are part of, Eurodesk is part of actually, is now part of a larger program called Erasmus Plus, which is starting on the 1st of January. So important to know, this program is going to run for 7 years. There will be 3 deadlines per year if you want to apply. The first deadline is on St. Patrick's Day this year. It's a bit later because the program has just started, so on the 17th of March. You still have time if you wanted to run a project, for example, a youth exchange or an international youth initiative with different partners from different countries. You can still apply for this first deadline. There are also other possibilities within the structured dialogue, which is, for example, seminars where young people can meet with policymakers related to youth policies or with politicians. So you could organize a conference, for example. There is some funding available for that. There will be also the European Youth Week. Well, not this year, unfortunately. I don't think there will be any. But European Youth Week is like a big event across Europe where we celebrate all the non-formal education achievements like the youth program, different seminars where organizations from across Ireland come to Dublin here, and other young people go to Brussels and have conferences, events and so on.
The Youth Interact Centre is all over Ireland, I know Waterford is anyway, and we are we're hoping to do the 9th of May is Europe Day, it's the day that they celebrate. But for that week, we're hoping to have like kind of European youth things within it, and hopefully if your video's ready, we might show it and get schools down. We have a catering group as well, they're doing catering, they're going to make food from different places of Europe and just have a fun week and just before the elections. and
That's
so
not
on.
strictly speaking part of Erasmus Plus, but we make
No,
connect
yeah,
to
but
them.
we connected
Yeah.
in, like, the group, the catering group, they're applying for Erasmus Plus.
All right.
So
okay,
some of the work
that's
that they'll be
good,
doing is from the evening action that they've done, they're going to show
Mhm.
a display and stuff, so
Mhm.
bring it in that way.
And then a very important part of the Youth in Action part of Erasmus Plus is the European Voluntary Service, which I mentioned to you before. It's a fantastic program where young people, not from 17, before it was from 18 years on, now it's even from 17, could take part in volunteering abroad. And normally if you want to volunteer in another country or on another continent, there's plenty of commercial programs where you have to pay lots of money for it, like you pay €2,000 to volunteer for 1 month in Africa, something like that. This program, you don't have to pay anything. All the costs will be covered, the travel cost, the accommodation and board, and you will also normally get also pocket money. That was in the old program, I have to check that now, but I think this may still be there. But anyway, you don't have to pay anything, you don't receive any wages of course either, because you are a volunteer, but you will be monitored, supported, you will receive training at arrival, in the middle of your placement and at the end. The placement can last between 2 months and 1 year, and you can learn new skills, you can receive training, you can receive linguistic training as well if you go to a country where you don't speak the language, for example. So it's not only countries where people speak English, all these organizations will be speaking English, but if you work like in a kindergarten, for example, or with elderly people, with homeless, in a youth cafe, then obviously you will be given an opportunity to learn the language of the country. Yeah? So you have just to find an organization in Ireland which will send you abroad, and they will apply on your behalf. You don't have to apply yourself, you just have to contact the organization, like Foroige, I'm sure it's probably approved to send volunteers now, or other organizations, but I can send you, the list of organizations that are approved, because they have to be approved, so everything is really monitored and safe for young people, yeah? And then they will contact the hosting organization and do all the formalities. That means like the process will take a few months, of course, to prepare everything, but it's really worth it. We got volunteers coming to Ireland and having really very good experience here. And sometimes people go back to the country and know what they want to do. Sometimes it's like a gap year for them, really. Sometimes they're unemployed and they're looking for new opportunities, and then they could put in their CV, they have these experiences, or experiences as a volunteer, which then can help them to find a job later. Yeah? And now I have a little movie again. It takes 5 minutes, is that okay? About volunteers in another country.
So anyway, I am a cat lover and I love to run. I'm sorry, I'm thinking about cats again. It's about cats. I'm thinking about cats again, and again, and again, and again, and again. I'm thinking about them. I came here because I wanted to do something different. I wanted to go away from the usual daily life in Holland, and I wanted to go somewhere where I didn't know the culture and the language, the people.
I was living in Barcelona the last 5 years, and I really wanted to live in a rural way, and I was really attracted to Serbia and about Balkan brass band music. I thought EVS was a good opportunity to work and to know deeper Roma culture, so I found this project and I was really curious, so that's why I decided to apply.
So we're close to the office now. This is one of the side streets looking very authentic Serbian. Here you can see the Norwegian People's Aid, they're the NGO next to us. So this is the main street, we spend a lot of time here. Also outside of office hours, just go down to the city.
I think Serbia was a really good choice because everything is different in a whole other way than in Holland. Dobro dan. And this is Leah, working on the computer, also from Holland. Zeg maar hallo, in Nederland. And this is Tika. So we go on. Here we have the two girls. Anna and Brianna. And there's a big office. Monia is working here. We have our workshops and lessons here, and it's really nice and big space for everything.
I really had a lot of expectation because I really thought it was a good opportunity to work.
What I'm doing on paper is working on the visual identity of this NGO that I'm volunteering for. So I'm making videos and taking photos of their events and organizing these workshops, cinema workshops to teach local kids. What I actually do all the time is I go everywhere to film anything. I go to small villages around, I go to other cities to film their events, like anti-discrimination theater plays that they organize, music festivals. I do a lot of interviews. I cover all of this by video and I upload it to their website. And I edit a lot. That's why mostly I work from home. I'm not like the other volunteers that they work in the office. I work from home and I'm editing all the time.
My project here was to work in this organization who provides the city with new cultural events or projects to bring more culture in the city. So I participate on these small projects and I help a little bit with them. But my main project was a big festival, which was 2 weeks ago. Park Street is extremely nice. People are extremely cool and the music is really nice. My specific job during the festival is hosting the Dutch bands who are already here, and we help them backstage and on stage with everything they needed the whole day, and it was extremely fun, and I think that's really what I want to do later also.
And I think this experience is interesting for all volunteers, not only the European volunteers. I think you guys, if you're considering coming to Vranje, I think it's very interesting every year when they do this, for you to be involved. It's a lot of work, you don't sleep much, you'll be very, very tired, but you'll meet some cool bands and you'll have a nice time.
It was really nice because all of us, all EDS, were working together for the same reason. It was really good.
How I changed by this experience. In the first place, it's the first time I'm living on my own for such a long time. Actually, first time at all I live on my own. So I think I got a little more mature by this, by cooking for myself or doing my own laundry or doing the dishes a lot of times.
For me, it's my first working experience, so I grew up a lot. I had this mini conflicts that I had to resolve, and it was very useful. I think by dealing with all these different kinds of people, foreigners and locals, and it made me grow up a lot as a person.
I think I didn't change too much. Maybe more fat and maybe more conscious about some kind of works, like working with musicians, or maybe that's a good point.
I don't know, I think it changed me, but I think I will notice what changed me when I'm home. Then I think I will see the most change.
Would you like to watch the episode 2? No, I don't have it here. But this is just to give you an idea about the experience that young people can make when they go on EVS. And I chose this one movie because it shows you also a placement in a country that maybe you heard about, like Serbia, but you don't know maybe probably so much about, and you probably wouldn't imagine going there. And still you can see that you can do really exciting things, and you don't even need to speak Serbian. You can go there with English. and you can meet people from other countries, and you can have lots of fun as well, and know a culture that is totally different from the Irish culture as well. So that's just an example, but there's plenty of examples on YouTube. If you just type EVS or European Voluntary Service, I think there's one place where you have like 30 different movies, and you can just have a look at them. And another possibility would be to come to an event that we could organize together as well with Susan here, and invite Irish young people who went abroad as volunteers with EVS and just tell you about their experience. And I must say that there is plenty of young people coming to Ireland from other countries to do EVS, but really not that many young people leaving the country. And it's a shame, because it's a great opportunity. You can have placements in different environments, so you can choose whatever you like. For example, those guys were working in a festival project, they were doing video editing and so on. But you can also work with children, with elderly people, with animals, you can work in a forest, you can work in a youth cafe, whatever you fancy. There's no guarantee that your application will be selected, but you can try, and the better your application is, the better your chances. And I think it's a good opportunity as well, if you don't really know what you want to do after school, for example, if you want to go to college or work, or if you are unemployed as well, to just do something really meaningful. It will count in your CV as well, and that will make you maybe another person. I remember there was once a girl who went to South America, because there are also placements outside of Europe as well, on other continents, and she was working with street children. And when she came back, she really changed the idea about what she wanted to do in her life, because it opened her eyes, and it showed her really what she wanted to do and where her strengths were and how she could develop herself. So that's about EVS. Now, if you want to have more information, you can contact the Youth Work Service at Largas. So this is the email address, largas.ie/fororigeyouth, but you can also contact me and send your email to eurodesk@largas.ie. This address is here at the end of this brochure, and I can send you all the links. There's also the website called youthnetworks.eu, which gives you information about current free placements where volunteers will be seeked, and you can check this website to find information also about information on youth organizations that would like to organize youth exchange with Irish young people. And there's an EPS database on the European Youth Portal, so I'm just going to click on that here, just to show you how this. So it's a database where you basically put your country there. Let's say you put Ireland. Oops. I'll just go to this. Ireland. Okay. Then let's say we just look for different themes. So, for example, anti-racism. Yeah. We don't have to fill in everything, but let's say you look for, you would like to do volunteering in the anti-racism area. Sorry, I made a mistake. I think you have to put the country where you would like to do your placement, actually. So let's say Germany. Submit query. You see how it works, because that was moved onto the portal recently. So I hope this is going to work. No. Maybe there were no records, okay. But anyway, you can just try yourself in your free time and see what kind of placements will be there. Maybe this theme is just too special. Maybe you should go to children. Yeah. So there was no placements in that area. But here, for example, you can see different places which offer different opportunities. For example, this one is in Germany, working in a kindergarten with children. If you click on the reference number, you will have the description of the project in German and in English, and they will say if they need somebody who speaks German or not. Yeah. And there's more information here. So that's very much. So, profile of the volunteer in English as well. They don't even say that they speak German. Maybe they just want to volunteer with English because they may be teaching English to children. Like German people really speak English from their
We have an advantage in some respects in Ireland, or we have an advantage, say, that we speak English. Because a lot of places, they want to do the exchange with English speaking because they want to come here. The disadvantage we have is that all the people that come here, they have English as their pretty much like similar to their first language. They've got French and German and stuff like that. And I was talking to someone from the European Parliament the other day. Ireland used to have very, very high level of Irish people working in the EU, even voluntary basis, working in Parliament, just stuff like that. But they're not going into it now because they believe language is the reason. But you can go over to Brussels without having the language and you'll learn your French, you'll learn your German. But it is if you have a second language, and you'll be guaranteed a job in Europe, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I watched the movie now with the girl who came from Spain to the UK, for example, and she really improved her English there, you know.
Yeah.
So that is very good for her, and she improved her self-confidence, of course, as well. So people, you know, from countries where there's high unemployment go to other countries and then improve their language skills or other skills as well. Yeah.
For the EPS, did you say that you have to have an organisation to like take you there?
Yeah, because it's also cooperation between different organizations, mostly NGOs, yeah? So, in order to be really well looked after, you need to find an organization that officially will contact the organization in the hosting country and will be, you know, making sure that everything is okay with you during the placement, yeah? Who will then look after your travel as well, organize it for you and so on. They receive some funding for that, so they will be, you know, happy to do it. If you don't have, some young people will be already volunteering somewhere, so they can check if this organization is accredited for EVS. If it's not, then they can either encourage them to apply for being accredited for EVS, or they can look for another organization which can look after them. For example, some youth information centers will be accredited. I know in Toulouse or Tipperary that they are. Then there are big organizations in Ireland such as VSI, for example, Voluntary Service International, yeah, which will help you to do that if you don't have your own sending organization. But you need to have one organization. You write your letter of application yourself, but you need this organization to contact this organization for you as well, yeah. If you have any problems to find the organization, you can contact us. I think we have a list of sending organizations in Ireland which are approved, and they usually wouldn't say no, really, you know.
Yeah, because they're actually looking for people to send over because they've had requests.
I think the one in Cork, I have to check with them, the Youth Information Centre with YMCA, I think they may be approved as well, because I know they hosted volunteers before, so they may be also accredited for sending them. But anyway, just contact me if you are looking for a list of organization that may send you abroad, yeah? Any other questions about that? How do you find it? I think it's very interesting. I would love to do that. I'm a little bit older than 30, so I can't. Unfortunately, yeah. Okay, so we're coming to the end of this presentation. Oops. Sorry, that is a little bit too big, no? Yeah. Okay. So, if you are looking for more information on other opportunities for young people, you can always check the portal, and you can always contact us, of course. Contact you with us. Yeah. So we are at the end of our little journey, our mobility journey, and here are some contact details as well. So you can find them on this card here. We are also on Facebook, so I always put all the interesting updates about like competitions for young people, scholarships, youth events, interesting websites and so on the Facebook page as well. So it would be great if you could go there, and I'm just going to do this. That's our page. Yeah, for example, I put this here yesterday in update on a roadshow about Erasmus Plus, the new program that will be run by my colleagues who look after the funding. And there's information on the places in Dublin are booked out now, I know, but there are still places left in other places such as Waterford, Cork, Galway. So you can still register until the 27th, which is Monday, I think, yeah. It's a free information event that will explain to you the new funding rules and how to apply for it. So that's your chance, especially that's really for youth workers.
Yeah, especially for you.
Yeah. So that's all from me for today.